And so there's something I want to mention specifically for any developers who are listening today. It's this idea of the Thesis Options API array format. Okay, so before I get into this, I just want to mention, so if you have ever built any options into WordPress, such as post meta, so like post meta is this stuff, these options down here that appear underneath your regular posting area. This stuff is called post meta options. You've also got on category pages, you've got potential options that show up here and on your edit category pages. You got these guys, like these are not standard in WordPress. Thesis is adding all these. You got those. You've got, for example, you know, we didn't look at boxes. This is not really what we're doing right now, but we've got, you know, if you wanted to create an admin page with some options, there's a certain way to do that. So with WordPress, if you wanted to make these content options like these, if you want to make these design options like these, if you wanted to do all this with WordPress without Thesis, every single one of those things I just showed you has a different format and language and way of handling it. They're all different. It's maddening to me. The truth of options and stuff on websites and in software is that there's only a very small, limited amount of format elements that you would ever use. You have text inputs, text areas, checkboxes, radio buttons, select menus, and maybe some other buttons like a color picker in Thesis, for example. But that's really it.
Image uploader.
Image uploader, exactly.
WYSIWYG editor. That'd be good.
Yep. There you go. Well, yeah, that would be good. That's a little bit different than what we're talking about. But however,
well, I mean a tiny MCE editor. That's what I meant.
Yes, yes. So there's a limited amount of options that you're ever going to have. When you really start looking at this issue, you realize that all these things could be handled in exactly the same way. If I'm on the post meta page in WordPress needing to serve an option there, I don't need to know the individual vernacular for that page. That is insane. Just like the, you know, on a category page, I don't need to know that vernacular within WordPress. That too is insane. I don't need to know the hooks there and how this works. It's maddening. It should all work exactly the same way. And that is what the Thesis Options API array format is all about. Every option that you will find in Thesis as a developer, all this stuff works in exactly the same way. There's zero difference between any of them. Checkboxes, form fields, all that stuff utilizes something called the Thesis Options API array format, which is available on this documentation page. And so everything. So if you want to add post meta to a box, let's say to a box, you would just have a post meta method, and then you would return an array of Thesis Options API stuff. And then now when you go to your post meta, when that box is active, those options would be added to the WordPress page. And in addition to that, you would not have to perform the function of saving those options, sending them to the database in a sanitized manner, and then later retrieving them for use. Thesis, the APIs built into Thesis also handle that functionality. I mean, this is such a non-trivial thing from a developer standpoint. This is absolute game changer. Like, once you realize how to do this and the leverage this provides, you would be sickened to use anything else ever again, I promise. So
it makes it a whole lot easier.
And just that unification of concepts, right? Mm-hmm. It's one concept. That's all you need to know. And it just makes sense. It's the right way to do it. It's frustrating for me to look at a piece of software like WordPress that is so old and so established, and to be so far off base on something as fundamental as this. It's just a tough pill to swallow. But this also was a big reason why I built Thesis 2, was because I saw that these improvements were possible, and so I was motivated to get there. And that's what you see with Thesis 2. So anyway, Thesis Options API array format. This is a huge documentation page. This is maybe the most powerful page on the entire internet, and that's not hyperbole. You can do anything with this. You can build software if you use Thesis and understand this page.